Hello guys, welcome back to XML Gaming, and we're going to be watching just a small video, about 10 minutes long, on the Philippine Special Forces fighting the ISIS terrorists in Marawi. So this, I think, happened 2018. I'm going to say, I'm not too sure, and it was basically two terrorist groups took over and declared basically themselves for ISIS and took over the city of Marawi, which is a majority Muslim city in the Philippines. The Filipino military dealt with the situation, but it was a hell of a bloody fight. But anyway, we're just going to jump in, and yeah, we'll talk about a few bits and bobs as we're going through it.
Last man.
Okay, things like this, last man, extremely crucial in a February environment because of how enclosed that environment is. You have sort of alleys going all over the place. You have rooms. You have doorways. You know, they need to know that you're the last man, and the last man has to be really switched on and know that everyone else has gone in front of him. The last thing you want is to lose a man and him to get cut off and alone in an environment like that. Very easy to get lost.
Run. Taking time. Last man.
These are the Philippine Special Forces on the hunt for ISIS militants.
Just taking cover here because the snipers all around the city, so even getting to the positions they need to be in is a challenge.
More accustomed to jungle fighting than urban warfare, battling in these tight alleyways is proving harder than expected.
See, like I said before, you've got alleyways like that. It's so easy to get lost and separated from the rest of the call sign, and that is one of the worst things for a call sign commander or a patrol commander is to have a split call sign. It's a nightmare.
These buildings were previously occupied by the terrorists.
Are they still here?
Those were shooting at us.
Where are their snipers?
Yeah, the big buildings over there.
How close?
200 to 250 meters.
These forces are turning this bombed-out school into a sniper outpost and preparing to attack.
We have one pilot position there, taking fire. Enemy snipers across the river. We have another one inside here.
Can you see the enemy snipers from here?
From our scopes, yes.
Okay.
We can see their muzzle flashes there. Under the table.
Okay, so this is really good drills. I was never a sniper while I was in the army. I was heavy weapons platoon, you know, GPMG, SF mode, GMG, Javelin, 50 cal, stuff like that. But part of my company, support company, we had obviously the sniper and recce platoon. So speaking to them, you know, this is good drills. You've got a table, a nice flat stable surface away from a window. You know, you see in these really bad movies where the sniper will stick the barrel out the end of the window, which is fucking ridiculous. You know, you're gonna tell them exactly where you are. Hell, I've seen videos of even ISIS snipers. You know, they will not stick the barrel of their rifle out of the window. So this is really good drills. Obviously, you know, you expect that these guys are Filipino Special Forces, and they are trained in part, or they do a lot of joint training and joint exercises with American Special Forces as well. I'm not too sure if British Special Forces get too involved in the Philippines. I'm not sure, but I know American Special Forces do in a big way.
Fire.
Nakita mo yung butas doon, tapos butas niya.
So the spotter doing his job there, aim high 1 inch. So he's letting the sniper know where he needs to adjust his aim Obviously, with the recoil of the rifle, you're not always going to see the fall of shot, especially if it's quite close engagements. You know, further ranges you probably will do because you've got the bullet travel, but in a close range engagement like this, you're not going to see the fall of shot. But the spotter, obviously, he stood there static. He's got eyes on that target the whole time. He's going to see that fall of shot, and he's going to be able to adjust the shooter.
Fire.
We have to leave this area. We just shot fires, so we expect a counter attack on us. Okay.
Okay, so again, really good drills. Fire a few rounds, change location. Last thing you want to be done, want to happen is to be located and pinned down where you are. So yeah, fire a few shots and move.
With the enemy now firing back, the unit is taking cover in this classroom until the escape route is clear.
Wow, so crazy to see that this was an active school just a couple of weeks ago and now it's bombed to smithereens. Is this the toughest war you've been in? Why?
They're not running out of ammo. They can leave behind IEDs while they're pursuing them. 2 IEDs laid here. The terrorists, because this used to be a terrorist stronghold. We pushed them back the river.
So we're getting a massive problem, not just in amphibious environments, but also, well, any environment. Just the threat of an ID or even the possibility of an ID will slow down an operation massively, especially if they need to take that location. It means sending in search teams, getting that area secured and cleared properly. The last thing you want is someone to detonate an ID in a small room and possibly injure themselves and others. So yeah, 2 big problems is the time it takes to clear that area. If you don't need to go into that area, you are then possibly looking at being channeled by the enemy. It's the same as what they do with minefields. You know, you set a minefield up, you want the enemy to go a certain way, so you block any other routes with minefields and other things like that.
But if you can see the area where we passed through, the maze of small alleys.
Like you said, it's a maze.
Are the killing zones.
It's a maze.
This is Marawi. For weeks,
Look at that.
the Philippines
A nightmare.
military, assisted by US Special Forces, has been pounding the city with airstrikes and battling house to house in an effort to root out this man. Isnilon Hapilon, the leader of homegrown terror group Abu Sayyaf. They pledged allegiance to ISIS in 2014. Philippine authorities say Hapilon, along with another ISIS-linked militant group called Maute, were planning to establish Southeast Asia's first...
So as you can see from here, it might be primitive, it's probably just Google Maps, but it's well organised. They have their marks set up, they have areas cordoned off or designated. So again, things like Google Maps is a massive, massive boom for any sort of planning operations, because you get a satellite image, and you know, somewhere like Marawi, it'll probably be a high resolution image, and you can plan accordingly just using that image. Gone are the days where you really need, you know, specific drone flyovers or satellite pictures. You can just go on Google and get what you need to set up a defence. Yeah.
First Islamic State Caliphate here in Marawi.
And they've had time to plan this as well.
City in a country that's more than 90% Christian. With an extensive network of hundreds of fighters, both local and foreign, these militants have mastered the terrain and stashed away a seemingly endless supply of weapons.
See, as she said there, local fighters. So this is another big problem that the Filipino army faced while they were there, is the fact that the local fighters, they knew the area, they knew Marawi, they knew all the nooks and crannies. And, you know, unless Filipino forces came from that area, you know, they are having to learn that area from scratch. You know, it'd be the same for us deploying to Afghanistan. You know, we're there for 6 months at a time, but the people we're fighting, they've been there their whole lives. So, you know, you're talking a good couple of weeks to a month to learn the area, where certain compounds are. You know, it's the same for this here in Marawi.
We're heading right into Marawi city right now, towards the heart of the battle. You can hear this continuing barrage of airstrikes going off all day long.
The only functioning building in this part of town is the tactical command post of 1 Marine Battalion, the main forward operating base for the armed forces.
We're being fired at?
Yes.
From where?
From that position.
From that position?
Yes.
Okay. So, we should...
See, I love the smile that's slowly creeping up on his face. You can tell the difference between someone who's used to it and desensitized to it, which sounds crazy, especially for those who don't have experience of it. But you get so desensitized to shots being fired, to explosions going off, because you know if they are being aimed at you, you know when to react. So we would see it with new lads that had come to replace guys who'd been sent home or injured in theatre, say halfway through the tour. They would react to sort of every shot on a patrol, whereas lads who'd been there, they've experienced it all. You know, one or two shots at the patrol, we wouldn't stop. There'd be no need. We would just carry on. We would know. And the only time we would react is if it became a bit heavier, you know, a burst of rounds or an RPG or something like that. And you just become desensitized to it. Obviously, she isn't. You know, I don't know if this is her first time in a combat situation, but obviously you can tell by the look on his face. Yeah, he's completely used to it. He finds it quite funny, to be honest.
Keep a low profile.
Yeah.
Okay. Have they managed to find...
Yeah, they're all the same. They're all laughing at her
This is still a
or her reaction.
Major Rowan Remus is one of the commanding officers who's been stationed here since the fighting began.
Firing, firing.
Can you just show us where the enemy is?
Okay, this is Mapandi Bridge. Before, this was well defended. So they place car bombs, roadblocks, and they employed sniper fires.
So the city is essentially divided by this river going
Yes.
through. Okay. So the enemy is contained within this area on the other side of the bridge.
Other side of the bridge.
Okay.
Now, the target of our maneuvering elements is to neutralize those vantage positions through our mortar fire.
Sounds close.
Pag matapos, taka na.
These guys have been pounding the city with airstrikes and they're just about to send this mortar into enemy territory.
Just hours after we left this base, these Marines were ambushed during an operation. 13 were killed and at least 40
Fucking
wounded
hell.
in what was the bloodiest day for the armed forces since the battle began.
So this is a nightmare. I think most militaries will agree that fibula, fish, obua, whatever you want to call it, is the worst form of fighting that most commanders can face. It's horrible. It's dirty. It's close quarters. You know, you go around the corner, you could be dead. That's the way it is. You also have the IED threat, landmines, booby traps. It's horrendous fighting. The British Army work on a 3-to-1 ratio, so if this is held by a section, the Army will want to attack it with a platoon. If it's held by a platoon, they want to attack it with a company, and if it's held by a company, they want to attack it with a battalion. Your losses are expected to be high in a fibula environment. Ideally not, but they're expected to be really, really high as the attacking force.
But it's not just militants inside the city. There are also hundreds of civilians. We managed to get the number of one man who's trapped in the heart of the siege.
Do you have a plan to escape?
We don't have concrete plan because we don't know which is the basis of IC, so we have to stay put and wait for the rescue.
Are you safe right now?
I don't know about that. I think the authorities know that we are here. I have to hang up. I'm running out of battery in my battery is for the rescue team. Please send help.
Okay. Who? You hang up.
For the people trapped inside Marawi, the army is not moving fast enough, and the situation is becoming more desperate by the day.
So this is the real sort of hang up for a conflict like this, where Filipino Filipino forces are trying to retake the city and sort of free the population that's being held there. Because at the end of the day, groups like ISIS don't care about civilian casualties, and this is the big problem. The Filipino army has to manage that risk. They have to come to some sort of compromise between speed and the safety of the locals. If they didn't care about the locals, if they weren't asked about collateral damage, they could move a lot quicker. They could just flatten the entire town, you know, have a rolling barrage in front of their troops and just flatten the town. But they, you know, that would look bad for one. It would look extremely bad on the international stage. But obviously that's part of their mission, is to get the civilians out. So they have to take it slow. Unfortunately, they have to take it slow. If they rush this, chances are they would cause more civilian deaths and lose more men than was necessary, to be perfectly honest. It's a really sort of tough catch-22 situation.
Everything going to plan?
Yes, we are doing very well. Okay.
Colonel Joao Herrera is the spokesperson for Joint Task Force Marawi.
Barrett is a 50 caliber.
Extremely well
Despite the
equipped.
military's many setbacks, he's keen to show us that the armed forces have retrieved around 120 high-powered weapons from the enemy.
I mean, obviously the insurgents were pretty well equipped. How well equipped are your troops?
Well, our armed forces are well educated, highly trained. We are very capable to address terrorism.
Because obviously there's also a lot of criticisms towards the armed forces, suggesting that you're not well equipped and that you're not doing a great job, quite frankly, at pushing back these militants.
Well, I think that's their opinion. Okay.
How long do you think it's going to be before?
Well, we don't want to give timeline because we need to put premium on the lives of the people that were trapped in that conflict area.
Yeah.
Obviously time is running out for them and you've been stuck in
Yes,
there.
but we're doing our best.
That's it. You know, one of the best sayings ever is the fact that war is a democracy. You know, the other side gets a vote, they get a say in what happens. So it's all well and good saying, you know, we're gonna be there within a week. You know, no plan survives first contact with the enemy. It's as simple as that.
Now, as the military ramps up pressure on the remaining terrorist strongholds, a humanitarian crisis looms. And concerns that Marawi is only the beginning of an increasingly violent ISIS presence are rapidly spreading throughout the region.
Okay, guys, thank you very much for watching. Like I said, the Philippine military managed to take control of Marawi after a few weeks. I think there are still operations going on to sort of hunt out the rest of the ISIS militants, as well as any other terrorist organisations in that area. I think there are still some active. I'm not 100% sure. There's probably other documentaries and probably more answers online. But guys, thank you very much. A really interesting sort of snippet from Vice News, of all places. So guys, thank you very much, and I'll catch you later.